In a world where wealth commands respect and silence is mistaken for weakness, sometimes the most powerful voice belongs to someone who speaks without words. Welcome back to Unbroken Truths. Before we dive into this incredible story, I want to know where in the world you are watching from today. Drop your city or country in the comments below. And listen, if you haven't already hit that subscribe button, now's the time. We're about to share a story that will absolutely move your soul. Trust me, you don't want to miss this. Now let's get into it. The little girl's hands moved desperately, frantically, trying to form words no one understood. Zara Dawson watched from across the dining room of Luminescence, Manhattan's most exclusive restaurant, as the child's frustration built with each passing second. 8 years old, maybe 9, with dark curls and eyes that pleaded for someone, anyone, to see her. But no one did. The maitre d' shifted uncomfortably. "Miss, if you could just point to something on the menu." The girl's hands moved faster, more urgently. Tears welled in her eyes. At the head of the table sat Alexander Castellano, tech billionaire, Forbes cover regular, a man whose fortune could buy entire city blocks. He glanced at his daughter with something between embarrassment and resignation, then waved dismissively at the staff. "Just bring her the chicken. She'll eat whatever comes." The girl's face crumpled. Her hands dropped to her lap. Silent, defeated. That's when Zara moved. She crossed the marble floor in smooth, practiced steps, her server's uniform making her invisible to the wealthy diners, until she reached the girl's side and her hands began to speak. "Hello, my name is Zara. What would you like to eat?" The girl's head snapped up, eyes going wide with shock and hope. "Can you understand me?" "Yes, I can understand you perfectly." The entire restaurant went silent. Every eye turned toward the black waitress, whose hands were moving in fluid, graceful American Sign Language, speaking a language none of them had bothered to learn. Alexander Castellano stared, his expression frozen somewhere between amazement and shame. And the little girl? She smiled for the first time all evening, her hands dancing with sudden joy. "I want the pasta, with extra cheese. And can I have chocolate cake for dessert?" Zara smiled back, her heart breaking and healing in the same moment. "You can have anything you want, sweetheart, I promise." As she straightened to place the order, Zara caught Alexander's eyes. In that split second, she saw something that made her breath catch a flicker of recognition, a shadow of memory, something impossible and undeniable. She knew this man. More terrifying still, she knew his daughter. Because 12 years ago, before the money and the fame and the carefully constructed life, Zara had made a choice that haunted her every single day. A choice that was now staring back at her with tear-filled eyes and a grateful smile. The question burning through the restaurant, through Zara's very soul, was suddenly devastatingly simple. What happens when the child you gave up for adoption recognizes you before you recognize her? Drop a comment and tell me, have you ever experienced a moment where your past and present collided? And make sure you're subscribed, because this story is about to take you on an emotional journey you'll never forget. Zara's hands trembled as she wrote down the order. Pasta, extra cheese, chocolate cake. Simple words that felt like they were carved into her heart with a knife. She forced herself to walk calmly to the kitchen, to hand the ticket to the chef, to breathe. But inside, her world was spinning. That little girl, those eyes, that face. No. It can't be. It's been 12 years. But even as she tried to deny it, the truth clawed at her chest. The girl had a small birthmark on her left wrist, shaped like a crescent moon. Zara had stared at that mark for 3 days in the hospital before signing the adoption papers with shaking hands and a shattered heart. She'd been 19, alone, terrified. The father had disappeared the moment she told him she was pregnant. Her mother had already passed from cancer. She was working 2 minimum wage jobs and could barely feed herself. The adoption agency had promised a good family, wealthy, stable, everything Zara couldn't provide. So she'd let go of the only thing she'd ever truly loved. And now, 12 years later, that little girl was sitting in her section, unable to communicate with her own father. What kind of father doesn't learn to sign with his deaf daughter? Zara leaned against the kitchen wall, fighting tears. Her coworker, James, touched her shoulder. "Are you okay? You look like you've seen a ghost." "I'm fine," she lied. "Just tired." She wasn't fine. She was breaking apart. Back in the dining room, Alexander Castellano sat in uncomfortable silence. His business associates had excused themselves, suddenly interested in the dessert menu at another table. His daughter Sophia, they called her now, was drawing on a napkin with a crayon some sympathetic server had provided. He watched her small hands move across the paper, creating swirls and shapes he didn't understand, and felt the familiar weight of guilt settle over him. Alexander hadn't wanted children, had never planned for them. But his ex-wife, Catherine, had been desperate to adopt after years of failed fertility treatments. She'd pushed and pleaded until he'd finally agreed, mostly to save their failing marriage. It hadn't worked. Catherine had left 2 years ago, moved to London with her new husband, leaving Alexander with a daughter he didn't know how to reach. He'd hired nannies, tutors, specialists, thrown money at the problem like he threw money at everything, but he'd never learned to sign, never really tried. Because deep down, in a place he hated to acknowledge, Sophia's deafness felt like an inconvenience, a flaw in the perfect life he'd built. And tonight, a waitress and a stranger had shown him exactly what kind of father he'd become. He looked up as Zara returned with Sophia's pasta. She set it down gently, then signed something to his daughter. Sophia's face lit up and she signed back enthusiastically. "What did she say?" Alexander asked, hating how small his voice sounded. Zara's eyes met his dark, knowing, full of something he couldn't name. She said thank you, and that the pasta smells delicious. "And what did you say to her?" A pause. "I told her she's very welcome, and that she has a beautiful smile." Sophia was already eating, twirling pasta on her fork with pure joy, happy understanding, and seen. Alexander swallowed hard. "How do you know sign language?" Zara's expression flickered just for a second. Something raw and painful crossed her face before she locked it down. "I learned it a long time ago, for someone important." "Family?" "Yes." The word was barely a whisper. "Family." Before he could ask more, she turned to leave, but Sophia grabbed her hand, signing something urgent and hopeful. Zara's breath caught. She signed back, her movements gentle, maternal. Then she looked at Alexander. "She wants to know if you'll be her friend, if you'll come back and talk to her again." Alexander watched his daughter's pleading eyes, then looked at this waitress who'd done more for Sophia in 5 minutes than he'd managed in 2 years. "Would you?" he asked. "I mean, would you be willing to, I don't know, teach me? I'll pay you, of course. Whatever rate, I don't want your money." Zara's voice was sharp, almost angry. Then she softened. "But yes, for her, I'll help, for her." Sophia was grinning now, bouncing in her seat, signing thank you, thank you, thank you over and over. Zara signed back, tears threatening at the corners of her eyes. Then she walked away before either of them could see her cry. In the staff bathroom, Zara stared at her reflection. Same face, same scars, same woman who'd given up everything to give her daughter a better life. Except Sophia didn't have a better life. She had money, yes, fancy clothes and expensive schools, but she didn't have a father who could speak to her, didn't have a connection with love, the things money couldn't buy. Zara pulled out her phone, scrolled to a photo she'd kept hidden for 12 years, a tiny newborn with a crescent moon birthmark, wrapped in a hospital blanket, the last picture before goodbye. "I'm so sorry, baby," she whispered. "I thought I was doing the right thing." A knock on the door. "Zara? Table 7 needs you." She wiped her eyes, straightened her uniform, and stepped back into the role she'd perfected, invisible, efficient, forgettable. But as she returned to the dining room, Alexander was waiting. "I meant it," he said quietly. "About learning sign language. Sophia deserves better than what I've given her." And ye paused. "You looked at her like she really mattered. I need to learn how to do that." Zara studied this powerful man, this billionaire who'd never learned to talk to his own daughter, and felt something shift inside her. Maybe this was why fate had brought them together. Maybe this was her second chance, not to reclaim what she'd lost, but to help heal what was broken. "Okay," she said, "I'll teach you, but we do this right. No half measures. You commit." "I commit." She wrote her number on a napkin, handed it to him. "Call me tomorrow. We start this weekend." As she walked away, Sophia signed to her father. Alexander looked helpless, lost. Zara turned back, translated. "She says you're going to be a good student. She has faith in you." Alexander's eyes glistened. "What do I sign back?" Zara showed him, moving his hands gently into the right positions. "I love you." He signed it to Sophia, clumsy but earnest. And for the first time in months, maybe years, Sophia signed it back. This is getting emotional. What do you think will happen when the truth comes out? Comment below and make sure you're subscribed. Saturday morning arrived with autumn sunlight streaming through Zara's small Bronx apartment. She'd barely slept, her mind racing with questions, fears, and the impossibility of what she was about to do. Teach Alexander Castellano how to communicate with the daughter Zara had given birth to 12 years ago. The daughter who had no idea who she really was. Her phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. "This is Alexander. Sophia is very excited. We're ready whenever you are. I can send a car." Zara typed back quickly. "No car. I'll take the subway. Send me your address." 20 minutes later, she stared at the location he'd sent. Upper East Side, penthouse. Of course. She dressed carefully in jeans, a simple sweater, nothing that screamed, "I'm your daughter's birth mother," just a woman offering to help, nothing more. The subway ride felt endless. The penthouse was everything Zara expected. Marble floors, floor-to-ceiling windows, art that probably cost more than her entire life. Cold, impressive, empty of warmth. Alexander opened the door himself, dressed casually in jeans and a button-down. Less intimidating than in his suit, but still radiating that quiet power wealth brings. "Zara, thank you for coming." He stepped aside. "Sophia's been waiting by the door for an hour." And there she was. Sophia stood in the foyer, practically vibrating with excitement, her hands already moving. "You came. I didn't think you'd really come." Zara's heart shattered and soared simultaneously. She knelt down to Sophia's level, signing back. "I promised, didn't I? I always keep my promises." Sophia threw her arms around Zara's neck in an impulsive hug. The sensation holding this child she'd given up, feeling her warmth, her trust nearly broke Zara's composure. She hugged back, blinking away tears, then gently pulled away and stood. Alexander was watching them with an expression Zara couldn't quite read. Wonder? Envy? Regret? "Should we start?" she asked, her voice steadier than she felt. "Yes, please." They settled in the living room, Sophia between them on the couch, bouncing with anticipation. Zara pulled out the materials she'd prepared. Flashcards, a chart of the ASL alphabet, a notebook. "First," Zara said, looking at Alexander, "you need to understand something. Sign language isn't just hand movements. It's expression, body language, and context. You communicate with your whole self. That means being present, being focused, being vulnerable." Alexander nodded. "I understand. Do you?" Zara's tone was sharper than intended. "Because Sophia has been trying to communicate with you for years, and you've been too busy to notice." The words hung heavy. Sophia looked between them, sensing tension. Alexander's jaw tightened, but he didn't argue. "You're right. I failed her. That's why you're here, to help me do better." Zara softened slightly. At least he admitted it. "Okay, let's start with the basics, the alphabet." For the next hour, she guided Alexander through fingerspelling, showing him how to form each letter. He was clumsy at first, his fingers stiff and uncertain, but he persisted, practicing each sign until Sophia nodded her approval. "Better, Daddy. Keep going." When Alexander signed his first complete sentence, "I want to learn for you," Sophia's eyes filled with tears. She signed back, "I love you, Daddy." And Alexander, this powerful billionaire, crumbled. He pulled his daughter close, holding her tight, his own tears falling freely. Zara turned away, giving them privacy, her own emotions threatening to overwhelm her. She walked to the windows, staring out at Central Park spread below. This was good. This was healing. This was why she'd come. But God, it hurt. "Zara," she turned. Alexander had composed himself, though his eyes were still red. Sophia was happily practicing signs on the couch. "Thank you," he said quietly, "for showing me what I've been missing." "You're welcome." He moved closer, studying her with an intensity that made her nervous. "Can I ask you something? That night at the restaurant, when you first saw Sophia struggling, you looked devastated, like it was personal. Why?" Zara's pulse quickened. "I have experience with deaf children. I know how isolating it can be when no one understands you." "Who taught you to sign?" The question was casual, but Zara felt the trap closing. "A friend, a long time ago. Must have been a good friend. The best." Before he could probe further, Sophia appeared between them, tugging Zara's hand. She signed something, eager and hopeful. Zara's breath caught. "She wants to know if I'll stay for lunch, if we can practice more." Alexander smiled. I'd like that too, if you're willing. Every instinct screamed at Zara to leave, to maintain distance, to protect herself from the inevitable heartbreak. But Sophia was looking at her with those beautiful, trusting eyes, and Zara couldn't say no. They ordered pizza of Sophia's choice and ate in the kitchen while practicing more signs. Food words, emotion words, and family words. That last category felt like walking through a minefield. Mother, father, sister, brother. Sophia signed mother, and her face fell. Alexander's expression darkened. Her mother left 2 years ago, he explained quietly while Sophia wasn't looking. Catherine couldn't handle the complications of raising a deaf child. She visits twice a year. Send expensive gifts, but she's not really present. Rage flashed through Zara. She abandoned her? Essentially, yes. What kind of mother? Zara stopped herself, the hypocrisy choking her. What kind of mother? The kind who gives their baby away at 19 because they can't provide a better life. The kind like her. Sophia tugged Zara's sleeve, signing something elaborate and emotional. Zara's eyes widened. She looked at Alexander. She says she wishes I was her mother, that I understand her better than anyone. Alexander's expression was complicated, sad, grateful, and something else. Something that looked almost like recognition. Sophia, he signed carefully, using what he'd just learned. Zara is our special friend. Okay? Sophia nodded, but her eyes stayed locked on Zara with an intensity that felt like the universe trying to tell them both something neither was ready to hear. They spent the afternoon practicing, laughing, building something fragile and beautiful. By evening, Alexander could sign basic sentences. Could tell his daughter, I'm proud of you, and you're important to me, and I'm sorry I didn't learn sooner. Each sign felt like stitches in a wound slowly healing. As Zara prepared to leave, Alexander walked her to the door. Same time next week, he asked. Yes, and you practice every day. No excuses. I will, I promise. He paused. Zara, I know this is forward, but would you consider having dinner with us sometime? Not as a teacher, just as a friend. Sophia clearly adores you, and I'd like to get to know you better. Danger. Red flags, boundaries crumbling. I don't think that's a good idea. Why not? Because lines should stay clear. Student-teacher, nothing more. Alexander studied her, and Zara had the unsettling feeling he could see right through her carefully constructed walls. Okay, he said finally, but the offer stands, anytime you change your mind. Sophia appeared, throwing her arms around Zara one more time. Come back soon, please. I will. Sweetheart, I promise. As Zara rode the subway home, tears finally fell freely. She'd promised herself she'd never look for her daughter, never interfere, never disrupt the life she'd chosen for her. But fate had other plans. And now, sitting between the past and the future, Zara had no idea how this story would end. She only knew one thing for certain. She was already in too deep to walk away. If you believe truth should never be silenced, hit the like button and subscribe, because here, every story uncovers the unbroken truths. 3 weeks passed in a blur of sign language lessons, laughter, and secrets that grew heavier with each visit. Alexander was a dedicated student. He practiced daily, video calling Zara with questions, sending clips of himself signing for feedback. His connection with Sophia deepened visibly. They had conversations now, real ones, about school and dreams and feelings. But something else was growing too. The way Alexander looked at Zara during lessons with gratitude that was shifting into something warmer, deeper. The way he found excuses to brush her hand when learning a new sign. The way he asked about her life, her past, her dreams with genuine interest. And Zara, despite every wall she'd built, felt herself responding. It was wrong, complicated, impossible, but it was happening anyway. One Saturday, after a particularly good lesson, Alexander made coffee while Sophia played in her room. You're remarkable, you know that? He said, handing Zara a mug. You've changed our lives, changed me. You did the work, I just showed you the way. No, you did more than that. He moved closer. Zara, I know this is complicated. I know we started as teachers and students, but I can't stop thinking about you, about us, about possibility. Zara's heart hammered. Alexander, I can't. Why not? Are you involved with someone? No, but then why? Because I'm Sophia's father? Because of some arbitrary line? Because I'm her mother? Because this is the most complicated situation imaginable? Because it's not appropriate, she said weakly. Life isn't always appropriate. Sometimes it's messy and complicated and completely unexpected. His hand found hers. Sometimes it's worth it anyway. Before she could respond, Sophia burst in, signing excitedly. Daddy, Zara! Come see what I made! They followed her to her room, where she'd created a drawing of 3 figures holding hands. Labels underneath, Daddy, me, Zara, a family. Zara's vision blurred. Sophia had drawn the thing Zara wanted most and could never have. It's beautiful, sweetheart, she signed, voice breaking. That night, alone in her apartment, Zara's phone buzzed. Text from Alexander. Sophia asked if you could come to her school play next Friday. It's in the evening. She has a small part and she wants you there. Please. Zara stared at the message, knowing she should decline, knowing she was getting too attached, too involved. She typed, I'll be there. The line between teacher and something more had already blurred beyond recognition, and Zara had no idea how to find her way back. Friday arrived. The school auditorium was packed with parents and families. Zara sat beside Alexander, their shoulders touching in the crowded space. Sophia spotted them and her whole face lit up. She signed, You came. From backstage. Zara signed back, I promised. Alexander's hand found Zara's in the darkness. She should have pulled away. She didn't. The play began. Sophia was radiant, signing her lines while a translator spoke them aloud. The audience applauded her courage, her talent, her joy. Afterward, Sophia ran to them both, throwing her arms around Zara first, then her father. Best night ever, she signed. Because my family was here. Family, that word again. The word that made everything impossible and inevitable at the same time. As they walked to Alexander's car, he stopped suddenly. Zara, there's something I need to tell you. Something I've been researching. Her blood ran cold. What? Sophia's adoption records. I've been going through them, trying to understand her history better, and I found something. Her birth mother. He pulled out his phone, showed her a document. Her name was Zara, same as you, same age, same city. The world tilted. It's probably just a coincidence, he continued, but I couldn't stop thinking. It's not a coincidence. The words came out before Zara could stop them. Alexander, I need to tell you something that's going to change everything. He stared at her, understanding dawning in his eyes. No, he whispered. It can't be. I'm Sophia's birth mother. Whoa! The truth is out! What happens next? Comment your reaction and hit subscribe. Alexander staggered backward, his face draining of color. You're... what? I'm Sophia's birth mother. Zara's voice cracked. I gave her up 12 years ago. I was 19, alone, broke. I thought I was giving her a better life. And you didn't think to tell me? You've been in our home for weeks. I didn't know. Tears streamed down Zara's face. Not at first. Not until that night at Tech, the restaurant, when I saw her birthmark. The crescent moon on her wrist. I gave birth to her with that mark. Alexander ran his hands through his hair, pacing. This is insane. You're her birth mother. You've been teaching me how to connect with my own daughter while... He stopped, realization hitting. Is that why you learned sign language? For her? Yes, I learned it when I was pregnant. I knew she might be born deaf. It runs in my family. I wanted to be able to communicate with her. Zara's voice broke, but I couldn't afford to raise her, couldn't give her what she needed, so I gave her to a family who could. To us, to Catherine and me. I didn't know it was you until that night, I swear. Alexander's expression shifted through a dozen emotions, shock, anger, confusion, and something else. Something complicated. Does Sophia know? No, God, no. She can't know. It would destroy her. Destroy her or destroy you? His voice was sharp. You left her. You walked away. And now you show up, become her hero, make her love you. I never meant to, but you did. Alexander's control cracked. She talks about you constantly and draws pictures of you, asks every day when you're coming back. She's attached to you, Zara, and when she finds out the truth that you're the mother who gave her away, it will break her heart. The words hit like physical blows. I know, Zara whispered. That's why I have to leave. Walk away before it gets worse. It's already worse. She loves you. Alexander stopped himself, jaw clenching. You what? He turned away. Nothing. It doesn't matter. But Zara knew what he'd almost said. She'd seen it in his eyes during their lessons, felt it in the way he touched her hand, heard it in his voice when he said her name. He'd been falling for her too. I'll go, Zara said quietly. I'll tell Sophia something came up, that I can't teach anymore. She'll be upset, but she'll move on. You can find another teacher. She won't move on, and neither will I. Alexander turned back, his eyes blazing. Do you have any idea what you've done? You gave us hope. You showed me how to be a father. You made Sophia believe in connection again. And now you want to just disappear? Again? What choice do I have? Tell her the truth. I can't. Why not? Because you're afraid? Because it's hard? Alexander moved closer. Sophia deserves to know her birth mother, deserves to understand why you made the choice you did. And maybe, his voice softened, maybe she deserves the chance to have you in her life. She has a mother. Catherine sends checks and birthday cards. She's not a mother. You are. You always have been. The words hung between them, heavy with possibility and terror. Zara shook her head. I can't disrupt her life like that. It's not fair to her. What's not fair is lying. What's not fair is leaving again. Alexander's hand caught hers. Zara, I'm angry. I'm confused. I'm overwhelmed. But I also understand why you did what you did. You were a kid by yourself, alone and scared. You made an impossible choice out of love. Alexander, stay. Tell her. Let's figure this out together. Together? Zara pulled her hand away. There is no together. You're her father. You're her mother. And whether you like it or not, you're part of our lives now. Part of my life. His eyes held hers. I meant what I said before about thinking about you, about possibility. This doesn't change that. If anything, it makes more sense now. Why I felt so drawn to you. Why Sophia bonded with you instantly. Why did everything feel right when the three of us were together? This is crazy. Maybe. But crazy doesn't mean wrong. Zara's phone buzzed. Text from her mother. Where are you? You okay? I need to go, Zara said. I need to think. Okay, but Zara, Alexander caught her arm gently. Don't run. Please. Not this time. Let's at least talk to a counselor, figure out the right way to handle this, for Sophia's sake. Zara looked back toward the school where Sophia was still inside with her teachers, glowing from her performance, believing her world was perfect. 1 week, she said finally. I need 1 week to figure out what to do, then we'll talk. 1 week, I'll wait. As Zara walked away, her heart was torn in directions she couldn't count. The secret was out, the truth was bare, and nothing would ever be the same again. Zara spent 3 days hiding in her apartment, ignoring calls from Alexander, texts from Sophia asking when she'd come back. On the 4th day, everything shattered. Her mother arrived unannounced, face grave. Turn on the news. Zara grabbed the remote. Her blood turned to ice. The headline, Billionaire Alexander Castellano in custody battle. Ex-wife seeks full custody of deaf daughter. Catherine Castellano's face filled the screen. Perfectly coiffed, perfectly composed. My ex-husband has been allowing unvetted strangers around our daughter. A waitress with no credentials, no background checks. I'm filing for emergency custody to protect Sophia. The reporter's voice. Sources say this mystery woman has been teaching the child sign language and spending significant time in the home. Catherine Castellano's lawyers claim this represents dangerous negligence. Zara's phone exploded with calls. Alexander, her boss, unknown numbers. She answered Alexander's. Zara, I'm so sorry Catherine found out about you somehow. She's using it against me, claiming I'm endangering Sophia. She's right. Zara's voice was hollow. I am endangering her. No, you're not. A custody battle, Alexander. Because of me, I won't do that to her. We can fight this, my lawyers. Your lawyers can't fix this. I'm the problem. Zara's chest tightened. If Catherine finds out I'm Sophia's birth mother, she'll destroy you in court. She'll say you've been letting Sophia bond with the woman who abandoned her, that you're unstable, unfit. Then we tell the truth first. We control the narrative. There is no narrative that ends well. Zara was crying now. Don't you see? I gave her up so she could have a better life, and instead I've made everything worse. Silence. Then Alexander's broken whisper. So what are you saying? I'm saying goodbye. For real this time. I'll testify if I needed to say I was just a teacher, nothing more. But I can't see Sophia again. I can't risk her losing you. Zara, please. Tell her I'm sorry. Tell her. Zara's voice cracked. Tell her I loved her, always. She hung up and blocked his number. For 2 days, Zara stayed in darkness, drowning in grief and guilt. Then on the 6th day, someone knocked on her door. She opened it. Sophia stood there, tears streaming, her hands moving desperately. Why did you leave? Why don't you want me anymore? Behind her, Alexander looked devastated. She ran away from school and took a taxi. She remembered your address from a package you received during a lesson. Zara dropped to her knees, signing through her tears. I never stopped wanting you. Never. Then why did you go? Because I was trying to protect you. From what? Zara looked up at Alexander. He nodded. It was time. Sophia, Zara signed slowly, there's something I need to tell you, something important about who I am, about who I've always been. She took a deep breath and signed the words that would change everything. I'm your birth mother. I gave birth to you 12 years ago, and I gave you up because I loved you too much to keep you. Sophia's face went blank, confused. Then, understanding dawned, followed by the most devastating emotion of all, betrayal. You left me? Yes. You didn't want me? I wanted you more than anything, but I couldn't give you what you needed. Sophia's hands shook as she signed. And now? Do you want me now? Zara reached for her, but Sophia stepped back. You're a liar. You pretended to be my friend, but you were just guilty. No, sweetheart, don't call me that. You're not my mother. You left. Sophia ran past Alexander, down the stairs, sobbing silently. Alexander looked at Zara, his expression broken. I have to go after her. I know. Zara, go. She needs you, not me, never me. He hesitated, then ran after his daughter. Zara stood in her doorway, watching them disappear, feeling like she was signing those adoption papers all over again, giving up her daughter. Again, forever this time. This is heartbreaking. Can this family ever heal? Comment below and subscribe. 5 days of silence felt like 5 years. Zara went through the emotions of work, home, and sleep. But she was hollow, a ghost haunting her own life. Then on Tuesday evening, her mother appeared at her door with an envelope. This came for you, hand-delivered. Inside was a letter, written in careful, practiced handwriting and in ASL gloss format, the way deaf children learn to write often structured sentences. Dear Zara, Daddy says I should write. Say I should tell the truth. The truth is, I am angry, I am sad, I am confused. You are my birth mother. You gave me away. That hurt. It really hurt. But Daddy explained. He said you were young, alone, scared. He says you give me up because you love me, not because you didn't want me. I think about this. Think about you learning sign language when pregnant, learning for me. Even though you knew you gave me away. That love, real love. Daddy also says something else. He says you are teaching him not just sign language, you are teaching him how to be a father. How to see me, how to love me right. Before you, Daddy never really looked at me. Now he does. Now he sees me. That is your gift to me. You gave me Daddy back. I still hurt. I still need time. But I do not want you gone forever. Can you wait? Can you give me time to understand, to forgive? Please? Love, Sophia. P.S. Daddy says he misses you too. He says he understands if you are angry at him, but he wants you to know he will not give up on us, on all of us. Zara read the letter 3 times, tears streaming down her face. Her phone rang. Alexander. This time she answered. Did you get it? His voice was rough, exhausted. Yes. She wrote it herself. It took her 2 hours. Wouldn't let me help. A pause. Zara, the custody hearing is in 3 days. Catherine's lawyers are vicious. They're going to use everything from your relationship with Sophia, our connection. They'll twist it into something ugly. Then I won't testify. I'll disappear. No, that's not the answer. Not anymore. Alexander's voice strengthened. I talked to my lawyers. If you're willing, we want you to testify. Tell the truth. All of it. Show the judge that you're not a threat. You're the reason Sophia and I have a relationship now. You're the bridge that saved our family. Alexander, that's insane. It could backfire. It could, but running hasn't worked. Hiding hasn't worked. Maybe the truth is our only chance. He paused. I'm not asking her father. I'm asking, as someone who's falling in love with you, someone who wants to fight for the possibility of all 3 of us together. Zara's breath caught. You're falling in love with me? I fell weeks ago. I just didn't realize it until you walked away. His voice softened. Zara, I know this is complicated. I know it's messy and unconventional and probably crazy. But Sophia needs, I need you. We're not a family without you. What if I make it worse? What if the judge? Then we lose. But at least we lose fighting for truth. Fighting for each other. A pause. Please, give us one more chance. Zara closed her eyes, thinking of that little girl with the crescent moon birthmark. The girl she'd carried. The girl she'd loved. The girl she'd given up. The girl who was asking for time, not goodbye. Okay, Zara whispered. I'll testify. I'll tell the truth. Thank you. Relief flooded his voice. Can we meet tomorrow? To prepare? Yes, but Alexander, I need to see Sophia first. I need to know she really wants this. Come tomorrow, 5 o'clock. I'll make sure she's ready. The next evening, Zara stood outside Alexander's penthouse, heart hammering. The door opened. Sophia stood there, uncertain, vulnerable. They stared at each other for a long moment. Then Sophia signed, slowly, carefully, "I'm not ready to call you Mom. Not yet, but maybe." "Friend, again?" Zara knelt down, signing through tears. "Friends are perfect. Friends are everything. You promise not to leave again?" "I promise. No matter what happens, I won't leave. Not unless you ask me to." Sophia nodded. Then, hesitantly, she stepped forward and hugged Zara. This time, Zara let herself hold on. Behind them, Alexander watched with tears in his eyes. "Whatever happens in court," he said quietly, "we face it together." Sophia pulled back, signing to both of them. Together. Like family. Not yet a family. Not quite. But maybe with truth, time, and courage, they could be. Hope is rising. Will they win in court? Comment your support and subscribe. The courtroom was cold, sterile, nothing like the warmth Zara had found with Sophia and Alexander. Catherine Castellano sat across the aisle, perfectly dressed, flanked by 3 expensive lawyers. She looked at Zara with pure contempt. The judge, a stern woman in her 60s named Judge Morrison, called the court to order. Catherine's lawyer stood first. "Your Honor, my client seeks full custody based on Mr. Castellano's reckless endangerment of the child. He allowed an unvetted waitress, this woman," he pointed at Zara, "unrestricted access to Sophia. A stranger with no credentials, no background checks. This represents profound negligence." Alexander's lawyer countered. "Your Honor, we'd like Miss Dawson to testify. The truth will show she's not a threat, but rather the catalyst for healing in this family." Judge Morrison nodded. "Miss Dawson, please take the stand." Zara's legs shook as she walked forward and was sworn in. Alexander's lawyer began gently. "Miss Dawson, how did you meet Sophia Castellano?" "At the restaurant where I work. She was struggling to order food. No one understood her sign language. I stepped in to help." "And why do you know sign language?" Zara took a deep breath. "Because I learned it 12 years ago when I was pregnant with Sophia before I gave her up for adoption." The courtroom erupted. Catherine's face went white. The judge banged her gavel. "Order. Miss Dawson, are you saying you're Sophia's birth mother?" "Yes, Your Honor." Catherine's lawyer lunged forward. "Your Honor, this proves our point. Mr. Castellano allowed the woman who abandoned this child back into her life without disclosure, without oversight." "I didn't know." Alexander interrupted, standing. "Not at first, and when I found out, I asked Zara to stay, because she's the reason Sophia and I can finally communicate, the reason I learned to be a real father." Judge Morrison raised her hand for silence. "Miss Dawson, why did you give Sophia up for adoption?" Tears streamed down Zara's face. "I was 19, alone, broke. I was working 2 minimum wage jobs and could barely feed myself. I knew she might be born deaf, it runs in my family, and I wanted her to have resources, opportunities, a family who could give her everything I couldn't." Her voice cracked. "I loved her too much to keep her, so I let her go. And when you discovered she was being raised by Mr. Castellano, I saw that he loved her but couldn't reach her, that he'd never learned to sign, that she was isolated, lonely. So I offered to teach him, not to take her back, but to help them connect. Did it work?" "Yes, Your Honor." Alexander went from barely speaking to his daughter to having real conversations. Their relationship transformed. Judge Morrison turned to Catherine. "Mrs. Castellano, I've reviewed the records. You've visited your daughter twice in 2 years. Why should I grant you custody now?" Catherine stumbled. I've been busy, but I love her." "Do you know sign language?" "No, but have you attempted to learn?" "I plan to when." Judge Morrison's voice was sharp. "When were you planning to learn to communicate with your own daughter?" Catherine had no answer. The judge turned to Sophia, who'd been sitting quietly. "Sophia, I'd like to ask you some questions." "Through an interpreter." Sophia stood, nervous but determined. Through the court interpreter, Judge Morrison asked, "Who do you want to live with?" "My daddy," Sophia signed without hesitation. "And what about Miss Dawson? Are you angry she's your birth mother?" "I was, but she explained. She gave me up because she loved me. She wanted me to have a better life." Sophia's hands moved with conviction. "Now, she is teaching Daddy to see me, to talk to me. She is not trying to take me away. She is trying to give me a family." "Do you want her in your life?" "Yes, please." Judge Morrison nodded slowly, then looked at all the adults in the room. I've heard enough. Mrs. Castellano, your petition for custody is denied. Mr. Castellano has demonstrated remarkable growth and commitment to his daughter. And Miss Dawson, she looked at Zara, your presence has been healing, not harmful. Catherine's lawyer objected, but the judge silenced him. However, Judge Morrison continued, this situation is unconventional. I'm ordering family counseling for all parties, Mr. Castellano, Sophia, and Miss Dawson, to navigate this new dynamic properly. Additionally, I'm granting Miss Dawson's supervised visitation rights as Sophia's birth mother, contingent on therapeutic progress. Zara gasped, Your Honor, I never asked for. You didn't have to ask. Sophia did. The judge smiled slightly. That child has made it clear she wants you in her life, and I'm inclined to grant her wish. The gavel came down. Case dismissed. Custody remains with Mr. Castellano. Sophia ran to her father, then to Zara, wrapping her arms around them both. We won. We won together. Alexander looked at Zara over Sophia's head, his eyes bright with tears and something deeper. Together, he said, like family. Catherine stormed out, defeated. And for the first time in 12 years, Zara felt something she'd thought was lost forever, hope. 6 months later, Zara stood in Central Park, watching Sophia run ahead on the path, her laughter silent but her joy unmistakable. Spring had arrived, painting the world in fresh greens and soft pinks. Alexander walked beside Zara, their hands intertwined, a gesture that had become natural over months of counseling, healing, and slowly building something beautiful from broken pieces. She's doing so well, Alexander said. Her therapist says she's processed the adoption revelation remarkably, says having you in her life has given her a sense of completeness. She's resilient, stronger than I ever was. She gets that from you, Zara smiled. The guilt that had haunted her for 12 years had finally begun to ease. She understood now that giving Sophia up hadn't been abandonment. It had been the first act of love in a story that was still being written. Sophia ran back, signing excitedly. Ice cream? Can we get ice cream? Of course, Zara signed back. What flavor? Chocolate. Always chocolate. As they walked toward the ice cream cart, Sophia slipped her hand into Zara's. It was the small moments like this, the casual trust, the comfortable affection that meant everything. At the cart, while Alexander ordered, Sophia tugged Zara's sleeve. I have a question, she signed, suddenly serious. Anything, sweetheart. Can I call you Mom? Not instead of Catherine, but also Mom. 2 moms, okay? Zara's vision blurred with tears. She knelt down to Sophia's level. Are you sure? You don't have to, I'm sure. You, my birth mom. You are the one who sees me, understand me, teaches Daddy to love me better. Sophia's hands moved with conviction. You, my mom, too. Okay? Zara pulled her daughter into a tight embrace. More than okay. It's perfect. Alexander returned with 3 ice cream cones, saw them hugging, and smiled. What did I miss? Sophia pulled back, grinning, and signed to him. I'm calling her Mom now. Is that okay with you? Alexander's eyes met Zara's, full of warmth and something deeper. That's more than okay with me. They walked through the park together, eating ice cream, signing stories, laughing. A family that looked nothing like what any of them had planned, but everything they'd needed. Later, after Sophia was asleep at the penthouse, Alexander and Zara stood on the balcony overlooking the glittering city. I never thanked you properly, Alexander said quietly, for not giving up, for fighting for us when it would have been easier to walk away. I tried to walk away, twice, but you came back. That's what matters. He turned to her, taking both her hands. Zara, I know we're taking this slow. I know we're still figuring out what we are to each other, but I need you to know I love you. I'm in love with you. And not just because you're Sophia's mother, because you're you. Brave, compassionate, stronger than anyone I've ever met. Zara's heart soared. I love you too. I fought it for so long, thought it was wrong or complicated or impossible, but it's not. It's the most right thing I've ever felt. He kissed her then gently, tender, full of promise. When they pulled apart, Zara rested her head against his chest, listening to his heartbeat, feeling the impossible made real. 12 years ago, she'd signed papers that broke her heart. She'd given up her daughter, believing she'd never see her again, never hold her, never be part of her story. But fate had other plans. Sometimes the story doesn't end when you sign the papers or walk away or say goodbye. Sometimes it's just the beginning. Sometimes the people you love find their way back to you in the most unexpected ways. Sometimes the waitress invisible to the world becomes the hero who saves a family. Sometimes the daughter you gave away becomes the daughter you get to raise after all. Sometimes love, real, complicated, messy, beautiful love finds a way. Zara looked through the balcony doors at Sophia, sleeping peacefully, clutching her stuffed bear, a smile on her face, her daughter, her family, her second chance. "Thank you," she whispered to the universe, to fate, to whatever force had brought them all together. Alexander squeezed her hand. For what? For proving that some goodbyes aren't forever, that some stories get happy endings after all. He kissed her forehead. This isn't an ending, it's the beginning. And he was right. This was just the start of their story. Three people who'd been lost and broken, now found and healing, building a family from truth, courage, and unconditional love. The kind of love that speaks without words, the kind that sees the invisible, the kind that never, ever gives up. What an incredible journey. If this story touched your heart, drop a comment and tell me which moment made you cry. And if you haven't subscribed to Unbroken Truths yet, hit that button now. We have so many more powerful stories about love, courage, and the strength of the human spirit coming your way. Thank you for being part of this community, beautiful souls. Remember, heroes don't always wear capes. Sometimes they wear aprons. Sometimes they sign instead of speak. Sometimes they're the people the world overlooks. The lies may fade, but the truth remains unbroken. Until next time, stay strong, stay loving, and never stop believing in second chances. See you in the next story.